Hi guys, welcome back. So today I am here with the mid-year book freakout tag for you. I don't think I was actually tagged by anyone, but it was something that I wanted to do. I don't do a lot of tag videos, but this seemed like kind of a cool opportunity to think about the reading that I've already done this year, which has been a lot, and it was kind of fun going back through these questions and thinking about what books fit them. So fair warning, I do have multiple answers for some of these questions, and also I try not to repeat answers as much as possible across multiple questions so that I'm able to talk about more of the books that I really enjoyed or didn't so much this year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First question is best book you've read so far in 2018. And I'm going to give you two answers for this. I'm going to give you best overall book I've read, and then I'm going to give you best new release. Although the new release one was tricky. Like, there could have been a few things that could have fit. But best overall book, hands down, Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's so good. I mean, this is one of my favorite books of all time now. I read this early on in the year. Thank you, Leanna from Leanna's Library, for bugging me to read it. I loved this book so much, and so this has definitely so far been my favorite book of the year. However, in terms of books that are new releases, like I said, there were a bunch of contenders, and you'll see some of the others later on, but the one I want to talk about is Sweet Black Waves by Christina Perez, and I would say this is also one of the best debut novels that I've read this year. This is a retelling of Tristan and Isolde, but from the perspective of Branwen, who's Isolde's lady's maid. I actually had the opportunity to do an interview with the author Christina Perez, which I will link up above if you want to go and check it out, but this one surprised me. I really loved it. I think it's really beautifully written. It is dark, it's witchy, it's atmospheric, it's feminist. Highly recommend. So that was definitely one of my favorite new releases of the year. Next up, best sequel you've read so far this year. And I have two answers for this as well. First up, I have Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I actually just finished reading this, and you guys, it's so good. This is the sequel to Red Rising. The ending of this is so crazy. So I'll be talking about this more in my wrap up, but this is one of them. The other one I would say is Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is the follow-up to the 5th season. That whole series was like 5 stars across the board for me. I read the entire trilogy and loved it. So that was another really good one. New release that you want to read. I mean, there are plenty of them, but let's go with a couple that I had on hand. Lifelike by Jay Kristoff. I've been hearing really good things about this. The beginning of a new sci-fi series, young adult. Do you want to read that? That's a new release. And then I also have The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. So I want to read that one as well. There are others, but we're just going to go with that. Next question, most anticipated release for the rest of the year. Again, I could say a lot of things for this. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys would be interested in seeing me make an entire video about some of my most anticipated new releases for the rest of the year, but I'm gonna go with two. One is Pride by E.B. Zaboy. I have not read it yet, but I'm really excited. I have an arc, and I've already pre-ordered a finished copy. This one comes out in September, and it is a remix of Pride and Prejudice set in modern day Brooklyn, and it deals with like race and yeah, and it's so pretty. Anyway, so I'm really excited about this one. And then the other one I'm really anticipating is Wildcard by Marie Lu. This is the follow-up to Warcross, which was one of my favorite books of last year, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. All right, question 5, biggest disappointment. So I have two for this. One of them is maybe a little bit controversial. I mean, both of them maybe are controversial, but one of them was still a 3-star read. It wasn't bad, but it was a disappointment in that it wasn't as amazing as I wanted it to be, and that was Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. I loved the concept. In execution, I thought it did a lot of things well, but it wasn't all I hoped it to be. However, I do have friends who are loving it and giving it rave reviews, so I think it's worth picking up. Dread Nation is kind of alternate historical fiction set during the Civil War, except it involves zombies. It deals with a lot of really important issues, and there's a lot of really great stuff to love about it. I was just mostly disappointed because I was so excited about it, and it wasn't didn't live up to everything I hoped it could be, but it was still a good book. The other disappointment was another pre-order. Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. I really wanted this to be better than it was. I have a whole review of this. If you want to go check it out, I can link it up above. So yeah, those are probably my biggest disappointments of the year so far. Biggest surprise. I have two for this. These are both books that I picked up and thought I would like, Like, I think I anticipated that they would be maybe 3-star reads or something, and both of them ended up really surprising me and being 5-star reads. They were both books that I expected to like and ended up really loving. So the first one is People Like Us by Dana Melly. This is like a YA thriller. It's so good. It's set at a girls' boarding school. It has an unreliable narrator and twists and turns and interesting characters, and it's also very queer, so if you're looking for that kind of representation, that's in here. Anyway, I ended up loving this book. I thought I would like it, and I ended up loving it and giving it 5 stars. The other book that fits into that category for me is Berserker by Emmy Laybourne. I had an arc of this last year and put off reading it and finally read it this year and ended up really, really loving it. This is kind of interesting. Berserker is kind of like Little House on the Prairie meets Norse mythology, but it's also like kind of stabby. Anyway, I really recommend it. Book 2 is coming out, I think, this fall in the series, and yeah, I was a fan. So this is one that I think is underrated. People haven't been talking much about it, but I thought it was really good. Favorite author, and this can be debut or new to you, and this was an easy one. I mean, I could say Patrick Rothfuss because new favorite book, new favorite author. Yes, that's true, but I'm gonna go with my other new favorite, and these books could also have gone in multiple of these categories, but I decided to put them here. It's definitely gonna be Claire Legrand. Guys, I'm such a big fan. I actually went and like bought some of her backlist books because I love these both so much. They were 5-star reads. Both of them I think are gonna end up being on my favorite books of the year. So there is Furyborn. This is book 1 in a new YA, I would say new adult, maybe fantasy series. It's so good, guys. The characters, the world building, the magic, the like everything. This is like everything that I want my fantasy to be. It's so good. And then I think by the time this goes up, I'll have a review video for this one up. This is coming out in October. Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. And it's funny, I've been seeing mixed reviews of this, but I loved it so much. Like, yeah. I really loved this. It's kind of like Stranger Things meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except scarier and more feminist and queer. It's really good. I don't read a lot of horror, but I loved this book. So I will leave a link to my review of this up above if you want to go check that out. But guys, like, both of these books are amazing. I'm now gonna go buy and probably read her backlist because definitely a new favorite author. Big fan. Newest fictional crush. This is not something that I generally do much of. I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I read an arc of this book in December, but it didn't come out till this year. So, new fictional crush, Rowan from Children of Blood and Bone. He is kind of a minor side character, but I'm really hoping we see more of him in the next book. I loved him. He was like, yes, wonderful. So there you go. Also, this book is wonderful. Another fave. All right, next up, newest favorite character. And I had kind of a hard time picking this, and so for this, I am gonna go with a character that I think also speaks to some other characters that I've really been loving in books this year, and this may be controversial, but it's Alice from the Hazelwood. I really loved the Hazelwood. It's like not everybody's cup of tea, and particularly there's a lot of people that don't like Alice, and I'm finding that this is the case in other books as well, that these girls that people think are kind of unlikable, I really like them. I really connect with them and relate to them, and I think they're very real because I think, you know, people are complicated and messy, and especially teenagers. As a teenage girl, like, I did not always make the best decisions. Lots of people didn't always make the best decisions, and I think that that's real, and I like that. I like these more real, messy female characters, and I appreciate them. So I really liked Alice. I like other characters like her as well. So anyway, I may do a video talking about this at some point. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts or would be interested in seeing that, talking about like messy girl characters or unlikable girl characters, because I think they get a bad rap, and I personally really enjoy reading their perspectives. So anyway, there you go. Book that made you cry. I don't generally cry much when I read books, but I did have a book that I read that I got pretty emotional at, and I may have like slightly teared up, which, like, you know, that's pretty good. And that is Anger is a Gift by Marco Shiro. I also have a full review of this one that I can link up above if you want to go and check it out. This is Also a debut, really, really impressive, I thought, debut author. And this is a book about a gay teen boy living in Oakland who is dealing with institutionalized racism. And it's also about first love and about resistance. And anyway, I'm a huge fan of this book. I love the main character. He's such a cinnamon roll, such a sweetheart. And I got pretty emotional reading this one. I don't know that I really cried because I don't usually do that, but I definitely, you know, got a little choked up, so that one. Book that made you happy. And I'm gonna go with one of the funniest books that I think I read this year. This book made me so happy. I kind of wish I owned it. I don't. I got it from my library, so I'll put a picture here, but it's I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu. I loved this book so much. I thought it was the cutest, most funny thing. If you guys haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. It is a YA contemporary romantic comedy. It's very funny. It's about this Korean American teen girl who's like really smart, really good at school, but super awkward with boys. Anyway, this new boy comes to her school that is really cute, and she decides it's time for her to have a boyfriend. So she sits down and watches a whole bunch of K-dramas and comes up with step-by-step how to get a boyfriend and make him fall in love with her and like proceeds to carry it out. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so cute. That definitely was a book that made me happy. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? I'm gonna have to go with Love, Simon. I think it was done really well. I think they adapted it really well and I really enjoyed the movie. Favorite review you've written this year or booktube video that you've made this year? So I'm actually going to answer both of these because I do write reviews on Goodreads, which is always linked in the video description down below if you want to check that out. But I was pretty proud of the review that I wrote for American Street by E.B. Boy. I think that was one of my better written reviews, and I also thought this book was really good. If you haven't read it, it came out last year and it's been winning awards. I love it. I thought it was really impressive. It's about a teen girl who's a Haitian immigrant to the United States living in Detroit and dealing with lots of things. It's kind of magical realism. It's about identity and family and lots of things. Anyway, I really enjoyed this and I liked my review of it. As far as videos, I think my favorite video I've made so far this year is my self-care, like mommy's night out self-care video that I made. That was really fun just because I was trying things that I hadn't done before in terms of filming and editing videos together, so I will link that somewhere as well if you want to go check that out. But that's probably the favorite video I've made this year, just because it was something different. Like a lot of my videos are kind of this, like me sitting in front of the camera or vlogging in front of the camera, and so that was fun because it was different from what I usually do. Most beautiful book that you've bought this year. And I mean, I have a lot of really pretty books, so there could be lots of contenders, but I'm definitely gonna go with my Barnes & Noble special edition of Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. Like, the camera does not do justice. This cover is gorgeous, but wait. It's so pretty. I love this so much. This book is stunning. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I have a lot of really beautiful books, but this is definitely among my favorites. And finally, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? So many, guys. I can't even I can't even begin to tell you. There are so many books I need to read before the end of the year. I need to read, I want to read some of the books that I've bought. I've got a bunch of ARCs that I need to get to that I got at BEA and BookCon. I have books that I need to read so that I can send off to other people, like Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I have an ARC of that I need to read so I can mail it off. Books that I need to read for review. I mean, so many. Yeah, I've got to somehow manage to figure it out. I'm kind of drowning in books at the moment, which is like a mixed problem to have, I suppose. Anyway, so there you go. That is my mid-year book freakout tag. So far I have had an amazing reading year. Actually, I've read a lot of books. Probably more than I think I've read in a year. I'm like over 120 books read, like 123 I think so far, which is crazy, and it's June. So I will probably break 200 books this year, which is kind of crazy. Although that could change, like if I get a job in the fall or something, like that could change, but for now I'm just gonna go with it. So anyway, talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these. I know some of my picks on stuff were controversial, but hey, whatever. Yeah, if you haven't done this and you want to, consider yourself tagged. I just sort of did it because I wanted to. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.